Okay, folks, this is something I wanted to address for a very, very long time. And now that I had this there, like yesterday I went to the hospital for this. I don't know how you say it in English, but it's a bursite in French. Like it's full my elbow is full of liquid there, and the doctor took a syringe and took blood and water out, but it's still very huge. So probably I'll have to go back a couple of times there. I don't know what's going to happen with that. But anyway, fantastic, right? But it does. Since I had this, the timing is perfect, right? Because now I can use this problem as an example. Okay, like I've been wanting to talk about healthcare for like 40 years, but before I give the solution to health about the solution, I think why healthcare is a mess in Quebec, and it's been a mess for a very, 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 very long time. But before I talk about that, I have to explain also my connection to healthcare, right? Because I have a serious connection to healthcare. Because my mother is going to be 98 in 2 months, okay? And my mother was a nurse all her life. She didn't have no other, well, little jobs when you're a teenager or something like that. But when she passed her exam to become a nurse, she was always a nurse, okay? And that was before the government took control of healthcare in Quebec. So it was always, like, well, I don't know, always, I don't know how this started that the nuns control the hospitals. I don't know the entire history. I think there's a building in old Montreal there that was the first one or something like that. I'll have to check this out. But anyway, my mother was a nurse all her life, okay? She was an ordinary nurse. That means she worked, well, when when I was while I was alive, okay? She like the hospital was in my back window there, okay? So in the front was Charleroi Street in Montreal North, okay? That's the front street. And in the back of the apartment, there was a window looking on that hospital. And my mother worked there all my life, okay? But it was an hospital for old people. Well, not old people, but I mean people that have, like there was a guy there named Roger he was in a wheelchair. He had like multiple sclerosis. I don't remember what he had, but he was born like that, okay? And people that 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 couldn't function. That was the hospital. Okay, so that's a connection to healthcare. Okay, that hospital there was 3 shifts. Okay, the day shift, the evening shift, and the night shift. My mother always worked the evening shift from 3 to 11. Okay, and there was never no problems in that hospital. Nobody complained, nothing. It started private, and I think at the end it became government control. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to ask my mother again. I don't know what happened in the end there. They had to get bigger, and they moved to Ville Saint Laurent. Okay, so the person who was managing that hospital, should I give the name or can this get me in trouble there? Okay, anyway, I'm going to give the name. The name of the person who was running this hospital, who was managing the hospital, was named Mary McDonald, okay? And it was her mother who started that hospital in Montreal North. And Mary McDonald was married to a guy, okay? Right now, he might be dying anytime now. His name is Sheldon, okay? So this couple would come to play cards with my father and my mother all the time. Okay, like they were always coming at my place to play cards with my parents. Okay, so that's another connection to healthcare. I mean, the manager of a friggin' hospital was always in in our apartment, okay? Then my aunt, that strangely after COVID, right? My aunt was a top nurse. My mother was a normal nurse. My aunt was a top nurse. But like during COVID, we were forced to do a couple of things, and after that, she ended up like with Alzheimer and finished. Right now, she's in a home, but she was a top nurse. And I even think that she's the one who opened the office of Dr. Peters in Moncton there. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to check. If I make a mistake, you know, I'll come back with another video. So my mother was a nurse all her life. My aunt was a nurse, okay? My sister worked in a hospital, l'hôpital Bellechasse Hospital, which the government closed down because they wanted to fix hospitals, so my sister lost her job, okay? So there was all these politicians saying they're going to fix healthcare, they're going to fix healthcare, they're going to fix healthcare, and healthcare got worse and worse and worse and worse, okay? And now I don't want to make this video 3 hours, so that's like a connection. My mother, okay, the manager of an hospital, my aunt, my sister, and if I start thinking, maybe more, Okay, so when I was a kid, like it was not long to go at the hospital, okay? It was like, boom, like that. I'll give you an example. When Crazy Glue came, was it Crazy Glue or? Yeah, it was Crazy Glue. When Crazy Glue came out when I was a kid, like I was always doing crazy stuff, okay? So I see this commercial of Crazy Glue. And again, if I make a mistake, I'll make another video about it. But if my memory is good, I think the commercial of Crazy Glue was a guy with a construction hat, right? And he put some Crazy Glue on the top of his hat there. He had like a thing screwed to the hat, and then he puts his head on a metal beam, a construction beam, and he's hanging. I think, I'm not sure, but anyway, there was the first commercial of Crazy Glue was pretty wild. So then I wanted to try Crazy Glue, right? But then whatever I did, I couldn't. The glue was so powerful that the tube there was stuck to my fingers. I could not remove the tube, and I was a kid, So I went to the hospital, like it took I don't know, 5 minutes. The doctor came. He took like an antidote, and boom, over. Okay. And that was emergency because you're not supposed to go to emergency, but it was like considered an emergency because I can't walk with the tube, right? And I can't do nothing, and I'm a kid. But anyway, the big problem in Quebec regarding healthcare in Quebec was always the problem with the emergency, that everybody ends up in emergency, even if they just have the sniffles or they have a headache. Everybody goes to the emergency. So if somebody really needs help, then I went one time, and I think it was when I had a rash there. Yeah, I think it was that. And like I explained, I don't remember when that was, but I worked for a guy who had little tractors, and he had a contract for the city, and we cleaned the sidewalk with these little tractors, okay? But when we filled the tank with water, we have to connect the hose after a fire hydrant. And sometimes the fire hydrants, even if it's the land of the city, sometimes the fire hydrant is surrounded by bushes. And I must have touched a bush, and I don't know what it was, but I got a rash, right? That was the last time. And I tried to find a solution to go see someone for this rash. And then I live in the parking lot of an hospital, guys. There's the parking lot and there's me. It's right beside. So anyway, I go there, and there was this guy in the hall, like the door opens, and you walk in and then there's another door that opens. The guy was there and he was there like for 18 hours, and he was in pretty bad shape. The ambulance brought him there. Everybody ends up at emergency here in Quebec, okay? And now every day, like, since I'm like, okay, now I'm 64, okay? Which I say I'm 65, What's a year? It's easier to say I'm 65. I'm 64. But ever since I'm 20, every day I turn on the radio or the TV, healthcare was in crisis in Quebec. Like I said, my sister worked at Bellechasse, so I can go back and research when they closed down that hospital, okay? And it's going to give you an idea of how it was. Pauline Marois, I think that was I don't know if she was the leader. I don't know if she was in office, but it was around the time of Pauline Marois. I'll have to check this out also. But anyway, the point is there was a crisis since I'm like 20 years old every single day. Or I could say since the government took control from the nuns. Okay? So now I had this, right? I found out this weekend. I went to watch a movie. I sat down in my lazy boy and then I felt pain, It's what the hell? Then I touch and it's big like a golf ball, right? Okay, so it's 9 o'clock at night, right? It's the weekend. So what do? What's my solution here? I live in the back of a hospital, so I can go to emergency, but I'm gonna wait 18 hours and then I'm gonna be tired and it's gonna screw up my entire routine. I work at night, okay? So it's not easy now I didn't work because it was the weekend, right? So I finish Saturday morning and then I go back to work Monday night, okay? So Saturday night, I don't work, and Sunday night, I don't work. But I'm going to have to work because my rent is going up. But anyway, so what's my solution here? So my solution is to go to the emergency like everybody else. And so, but we have another option, and we can call 811, and that's what I did. So I called 811. I said, what's going, I said, the person said, what's going on? I said, like, my elbow is big like a golf ball, right? So the lady said, take a pen, make a circle, because one place it's red, and around that red, the skin is pink. So she said, take a pen, make a circle, and like in 2 hours, if you see that the pink is outside the circle, it means it's getting worse, right? Then she said, go to the emergency. But again, we go to the emergency. It's always the damn emergency here in Quebec, okay? So what I think is the solution here, and it was like that when I was young, the solution is the appointment. We have to get rid of the appointment. Do you know how hard it is to get an appointment with a doctor in Quebec? Like, once I tried on the internet to get an appointment and it did not work. Okay, I spent hours and hours and hours trying to get an appointment on the internet. Then I tried on the phone and that didn't work, and that didn't work. So you try, and then the system, sometimes the phone is going to shut you down. This happens like also if you call Google, Microsoft, Facebook, whatever, all these big places, okay? You phone, you're on the hold for hours, and then the system, it just shuts down. It hang ups on you. So you wasted 2 hours, 1 hour, 3 hours of your life to try to get an appointment. Okay? So right there, that's a problem. So on the patient side, you have to manage this, and it's not easy. It's not just to pick up the phone and get, make an appointment there. You have to get up, you have to think, you have to do, what am I going to do? It's not just a phone call. You don't just jump on a phone. Hey, I'd like to make an appointment. Okay. So when I was young, there was no appointment. There was a clinic. You have a problem, you go to the clinic. And in my area, in Montreal North, they were all like doctors from Vietnam, right? And like these guys there, they were not like doctors like we see today. Okay, they were not there to push pills or whatever. So I'll give you an example. I was always feeling dizzy and weak, and because my father had low blood pressure. So I go see this Vietnam doctor, and he says, just put more salt on when you eat. Yeah, put more salt. And I did that. And right now, I never took pills for blood pressure, and like I said, I'm 64 and I'm not dead. So, and you didn't have to take an appointment. You just go there. And it was fast. So, on the patient side, you have to manage the appointments. And you know how hard it is to manage the appointments on the doctor side? All this effort that is wasted on just managing appointments. Just managing this whole thing. So let's say I'm a clinic there, right? The phone rings. Oh, okay, you write that down. And then you have to, keep a register. You know what I mean, right? Just think about it in your head. How hard it is, how time-consuming it is to manage appointments. Now, let's say I'm a clinic and the guy walks in like this, right? He just walks in. And the person looks, oh, okay, you're doing a bursit. If the problem can be solved, like one day, I think I broke my toe. And I go to of course, I couldn't go because you needed a friggin' appointment, right? So it was complicated. You always try. If you don't get the line, then you're screwed, right? If you can't make the appointment on the internet or on the phone, you're screwed. So you can't do that day. So then you have to, you work, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. And anyway, I ended up going to the clinic, and the guy just said, okay, this is going to hurt. And, that's it. My toe was okay, right? So you see the difference. The person has something, you just go to the clinic, like if there's too many people, then you'll have to come back later or come back the next day. But there's nothing about managing. And in the end, in the beginning, it's more complicated to do that because you're switching the system, okay? Now it's appointment. Now you're switching back to the other. But if we wipe out the appointment and people start going like that, just go to the clinic, then the amount of people going to the clinic is going to reduce because people, the problem gets solved so fast. It's fast, guys. Most people, they don't have things this complicated, so it's fast. Like this. Look how fast it was. And I wasn't supposed to, the doctor was not supposed to see me because I didn't have an appointment. But when I got at the counter, I showed this and they said, oh, okay, it might be dangerous. But you see what I mean, okay? So wipe out the appointments. Now, secondly, there's the obsession with a family doctor. Everybody needs a family doctor. Why do we need a family doctor? Why not? Like when I said, when my mother was a nurse, it was 3 shifts, okay? The day shift, the evening shift, and the night shift. And, there was no switching. If you work at night, you work at night. If you work in the morning, you work in the morning. And you can't just switch and do whatever you want there. It doesn't work like that. And some work on the weekend. Of course, you can apply. Let's say you work on the night shift and you want to later go to the day shift. You apply, and when somebody leaves, then you get that position. But there's no always switching around there, okay? Some people do like I work the night shift right now because it, okay, now I'm getting a bit fed up of the night shift because it's been a long time. But in the beginning, it was good for me because, anyway, I can't go that. I'm going to start to digress here. Okay. So the obsession with the family doctor. So if you don't have no family doctor, okay, like if it's just a doctor. So the clinics have a night shift, an evening shift, I mean a day shift, evening, and night shift, okay? And let's say you don't have no family doctor. Let's say it's just a doctor. So the guy looks at his watch, it's 4 o'clock, he finished his shift, he's gone, right? And you need a doctor, but your doctor is gone because she or he works the day shift. And this happens during the night. Why do you need a family doctor? So you're going to call for an appointment or you're going to go to the clinic. They're going to say, well, you have to see your doctor, right? Your doctor is not here. So you can't see a doctor. Okay. But I have a problem here. Yeah, but your doctor is not here. So why do you have to have a family doctor? A doctor is a doctor. So when I had my rash, okay, let's say I go, let's say it reduced a little bit, right? And then I go like for a little checkup to see, is this okay? You gave me a medicine there and it has reduced, but it's not gone. Is that normal? Okay. So the guy opens the file. It's not my doctor, okay? Let's say we eliminated the family doctor. The guy looks at my file. Okay, you came yesterday for a rash. Okay, so your doctor gave you antibiotics for this rash. Okay, yeah, okay. And it reduced and not yet. Okay, so you can come back next week and we'll check it out. Why do I need a family doctor for that? There is a file for that. There's a file. They just have to look at the file. So eliminate the appointment, eliminate the family doctor. Open the clinics, okay? 3 shifts. Yes, it's hard to find people to work at night, but still, there is people that need to work at night. Some people, like a couple, they may have a kid, and one works during the day, and the other says, okay, I'm going to work during the night for like the 2-3 years so that we can take care of the kid, like I said, my mother was a nurse for the building was like 40 years in my backyard, right? And it was always like that, and there was no problem. So why is it a problem now? Something is not right there. So that's my view on healthcare. My solution to healthcare, I mean. Eliminate the appointment, eliminate the family doctor, and the government has to stop pissing off doctors too. There's always a war in Quebec between the politicians and the doctors there. So tell me what you think.